In Isaiah chapter 5, verse 10, the prophet is describing a divine reversal of fortune. To understand its meaning, you have to look at the math Isaiah is using. It's essentially a famine by the numbers. Now the verse reads, "For 10 acres of vineyard shall yield only one bath, and a homer of seed shall yield only an ephah." Now let's find out what this means. Here is the breakdown of what this means spiritually and historically. Now, number one, the math of futility. In the ancient world, you see, the measurements Isaiah uses represents a catastrophic agricultural failure. He is showing that even though the wealthy have hoarded massive amounts of land, which in this case is the 10 acres, the actual output will be next to nothing. Let's first look at the 10 acres and what the meaning behind it. So 10 acres will be as one bath. Let's find out what this means. Now, the 10 acres means are literally 10 yokes of land, or what 10 teams of oxen could plow in a day, was a massive area. Now, a bath was a liquid measure of roughly 6 gallons, which equates today as 22 liters. Harvesting only 6 gallons of wine from 10 acres of land is a total disaster. It wouldn't even cover the cost of the labor. All right? So 10 acres will be as one bath. All right? Did you get that? Now, one omer will be as one ephah. A omer was a large dry measure of seed, which equates to about 6 bushels. And you can do your research on that, yeah? Now, an ephah was exactly 1/10 of a homer. Now, Isaiah is saying this, that if you plant a full bag of seed, you will harvest only 10% of what you sowed. You aren't just not making a profit there, but you are actually losing 90% of your initial investment. Now, number two, I want to talk about the judgment on greed. Now, the context of this verse, specifically starting in verse 8, is a woe against the wealthy elites who were joining house to house and field to field. They were buying up all the land and pushing out the poor. Now, God's response is poetic justice. This is what happened. The land they worked so hard to monopolize will refuse to produce for them because they sought security in the quantity of their land rather than in righteousness. God struck the productivity of that land. Yeah. Now, you have heard about the rich will be richer. Yes. But at whose expense are the rich becoming richer? Because in order for the rich to be more richer, the money has to come from somewhere. So that means it's taken from the poor, the man that has little. So the rich devises a way how to keep the poor poor, if you understand what I mean. Now, there's a spiritual meaning about the sour grapes. This verse is part of the Song of the Vineyard, or the vineyard, as you would say. God planted Israel as a choice vine and did everything possible to ensure its success. But instead of grapes, which justice, instead of it, the vineyard produced justice, Israel. It produced wild grapes. Instead, it produced bloodshed and cries of the oppressed within the city. Now, what I want you to take away from this, when a society prioritizes profit and accumulation over justice and mercy, their harvest, which is the result, no matter how much they own, which is the investors, the entrepreneurs, those who capitalize the capitalism system, yeah, they will eventually become hollow and insufficient. That is the harvest of them who seek to gain wealth dishonestly. Capitalism is a crime against humanity.